And this one is a competitive game where players are going to be sailing down the Nile River, collecting blocks and trying to build the biggest pyramid for their pharaoh. This one also looks like a game that's going to offer a lot of fun decisions to players without a whole lot of rules overhead, and for that reason, this one is my own personal pick of the week. The main board is going to be tracking the player order as well as the end of the game, because each player is going to have their own boat token out on this board, and you're all going to be starting at the beginning in the bottom right corner here, and the game ends once all of the players' boats have reached the end. When it comes to determining whose current turn it is, you're always going to be checking which player's boat is furthest behind, and if there's a tie, you're going to be seeing which boat is furthest to the right. In this case, it would be the red player's turn, and on your turn, you always do have to buy a block. And you're going to have this offer board that has a bunch of different blocks at different prices. There is a base cost for each column outlined at the top here, and then there is an additional cost for each of the individual rows depending on which column you're choosing. As you can see, all the different blocks do have different symbols, and this is just randomized by drawing these blocks out of a bag, and anytime that a block is purchased, you will be replacing it with a new block from the bag. The brown icon represents food, while the white icon represents time, and paying for these is a really cool aspect of the game, because in order to pay for time, all you got to do is move your boat that many spaces up the board. You do need to be careful with this, because once you reach the end of the board, you're not going to be able to add any more blocks to your pyramid, and the game has essentially ended for you. In order to pay the food requirements of a cost, you just have to have that amount in your supply in order to discard, but the cool thing about the food is the way that you get it. And this is where the icons on the blocks really start to matter, because anytime you gain a block, you're going to be putting it on your pyramid from bottom to top, trying to match those icons so that you're creating adjacencies between the various blocks. This is going to be creating groups of icons out on your board, and once a group of icons is completely cut off from its surroundings and you're not able to add any more to that group, it's going to be granting you some amount of food depending on how big you were able to make that group. I really like this because it means you want to make that group as big as possible to get as much food as possible, but then also you don't want to let that go on too long if you're running out of food, so you might just want to close off one of the groups in order to cash that in for the food that you need to take your next action. One other important detail out on the main board is that there are some spaces that are color-coded, and they do also have a token associated with them. And what this means is that if you are on that space at the start of your turn, if you're able to also buy a block that has a color matching that space, then you will also gain the bonus that that space has to offer. This usually comes in the form of granting you some sort of discount when you're going to purchase that block. But the game continues like this until all the players have reached the end of the board, and then you're going to be seeing which player has the most blocks completed on their pyramid. Then that player is going to win the game, and if there is a tie, then you're going to be seeing who has the most food tokens. But I'm really interested in this one. It looks like it could be a lot of fun and really easy to get to the table, and if you are interested in it as well, make sure you go ahead and follow along with it, because it will give you a €2 discount.